What's good, ladies and gentlemen? What is up? Waiting for this thing on YouTube to start up. Got a little bit of a delay. Where's it at? Where's it at? There we are. Where's it at? All right, what's up, guys? I'm go ahead and put the link in for whoever want to join. All right, there we go. But yeah, just go ahead and debate, man. I'm still waiting for this other guy, bro, but he ain't want to show up, so it's all good. But yeah, the link is in the chat. I'm still waiting for this guy, Mr. Dale, but anyone can join if that's fine. All right, but yeah, I guess the point of this was to also, so we got a few games coming up this weekend. We got Kentucky, Georgia, and to start off, Kentucky in the run game last week against Florida. I mean, they just absolutely fucked them over. They made Florida. To put it simply, they made Florida look like nothing. And to be honest with you, I think most of us wanted, not wanted, but saw Florida winning that game, but it just didn't happen. It didn't happen. So in terms of this game, Georgia's defense is going to have to be better against that run game, because if they don't, then Kentucky's going to run all over us like they did against Florida. However, of course, Georgia is not Florida, but Kentucky still put up massive amounts of numbers against Florida. And to be specific, and well, let's go over the Georgia allowed a total of, I believe it was I believe it was over 200 yards of rushing to or close to that, to Auburn. And so Auburn doesn't have the offense, or shouldn't have the offense, to be able to pull those type of numbers off. However, they are, and they did. They did that to us. And Kentucky allowed or put up a lot against Florida, and of course, Florida is going to be Florida. But in terms of the ability to stop the run, it's going to be hard, man. It's going to be hard. Yeah, Kentucky, their highest rusher was Ramon Davis. He put up 280 yards himself. 280 yards. 280 yards with 26 carries, averaging 10 yards a game. He had 3 touchdowns, and overall, he had the Florida Gators in his pocket. Man, I mean, he just turned them into a potato salad. I mean, that defense was a mess. So, in terms of the ability to stop the run, we didn't have that last week, and Kentucky had a good run game. But Kirby Smart, I trust him to make a game plan defensively for that run game against Florida. So I'm gonna hope we can do that. In terms of the offense, Georgia's offense, I think we have the talent. We have everything at our disposal to be able to do exactly what we want to do on the offensive side of things. But when it comes down to the ability to the ability to have Carson Beck just sling balls down the field accurately, that offensive line just doesn't give him enough time, man. And to be honest with you, Carson Beck has been, just like with the offense, has been starting off super slowly, just inconsistent starts, and in the first quarters of games, he just doesn't wake up. It takes him a whole quarter to wake up. It's just the facts, and we need him to wake up in the first quarter. That's a fact. Because if he doesn't wake up in the first quarter, then we're fucked. But yeah, man, the offense. Look at the names. Look at the names. I mean, off the top of my head, I can name Rosemary Jackson, Robert Thomas, Dominic Lovett, Lab McConkey is a big one. He's our guy. He's been our guy for the longest time. So, yeah, we don't have Mitchell or Burton that we had 2 years ago. Also, 2 years ago, George Pickens. We don't have those guys, but we still have this talent. We still have these wide receivers. Arian Smith, another one. I don't know if I'm getting any more top guys, but we had these guys, and they're all talented wide receivers. And then, of course, when you go into the tight ends, Oscar Dell and Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, obviously, Brock Bowers is him, in my opinion, the best college football player in the country. So when it comes down to it, you gotta use your talent. You gotta start in the first quarter and score points. Because if you don't score points, then you're not in the first quarter, and you let Kentucky take the lead, it's gonna be so hard to come back. Auburn is a terrible team that had a 10-point lead. That was nothing for them. It was a 10-point lead. It wasn't even a lead. I mean, they just don't have Auburn doesn't have the talent that we do. Therefore, we were able to come back and beat them 27-20. But it was still a struggle to come back. And those who disagree are simply just delusional to the fact that it was a struggle, because it was. It was a struggle, and we did come back, and that's all that matters. But it was a struggle, and against Kentucky, even though it's at home, but at home being a huge advantage, of course, but even though it's at home, and it will be a primetime game, you can't go down against Kentucky. I mean, you just can't. And of course, Kentucky is not Tennessee on the road. It's not Ole Miss. However, it's still Kentucky, and they are 5-0. They are confident. They're high flying. They just beat the pants out of the Florida Gators. So you need to wake up. It's as simple as that, man. You gotta wake up. That offense needs to wake up. Carson Beck needs to wake up. Bobo needs to have the right game plan. And yeah, simple as that. 27 points, 34 points. I don't care. We just need to score points. We need to get out of the second half with some points, and the first quarter with the points. And we need to stop the Kentucky running game defensively. But to stay on the offensive point of view right now, a huge issue for us, I want to talk about running game, is Georgia's running game. I mean, we don't have the same running backs. We've said this time and time again. But we Edwards, Milton, we have those two, right? But missing Robinson is a huge loss. I mean, that's just a huge loss. I mean, when we learned in the beginning of the season he was going to be out for the whole year, we were just, I think Georgia fans were collectively disappointed. But it's just we don't Edwards, sure, he can be a power runner if the offensive line gets good block, gives him good openings in the to be able to give him, running lanes, stuff like that. Then he can hurt you. He can hurt the defense. He can run for 30, 40 yards once he gets going. He's an elite running back, but he's not a James Cook. He's not McIntosh. He's not Nick Chubb. He's not Sony Michel. He's not DeAndre Swift. I mean, etc. He's not those guys that we've had in the past. So, in terms of this game, we need to become a pass-first team. We have many, many more power options, weapons when it comes to the passing game than it does to the running game. That's facts. This wide receiving core that we have this season should be used a lot more than it has been. I mean, we just have so many names. So many names. I just named a few. And then with the two tight ends that we have, it's even more. I mean, it should be no reason why Bobo should stick with the running game. I mean, it's no doubt that he's using a similar plan to what we had last year offensively, which was Todd Monken's plan. But you can't do that because Todd Monken's plan, the past 2 seasons, it was you had those running backs. We don't have them this year. We just don't. So you can't use the same. You can't use the old style, which is what Georgia. It's the style that is written in Georgia football, which is running the ball, run the ball. We don't have the running backs to do that. It's just a fact. So we need to use our wide receivers, and we have the wide receivers to be able to be a pass first offense, a pass first scoring team, and that's how we're going to be Kentucky. That's how we're going to be successful in the future. We need to pass the ball. And yes, Carson Beck can make mistakes, but he's been good. I mean, his accuracy, he's 75% over these few games. And so that's a pretty high percentage. And against Auburn, I'm going to have to actually pull this one up. I don't know off the top of my head, but I do remember he went 23 out of he had 23 completions out of 33 throws. So he had only 10 incompletions during that game. He had 313 yards. So Carson Beck can do the job against these opponents. There's no doubt. Question is, can he do it against the big teams? But that's a question for a later time. Right now, it's against these teams that we play year in, year out. So in terms of the offense, send it off. We gotta play with that first pass team. We gotta play with the mentality that we're gonna pass the ball. Use the wide receivers. The running game's gotta be like in the back of our minds. It's gotta be pass first. And offensive line needs to step up. It's been getting better. Give him more time in the pocket. Keep doing that. And yeah, simple as that. But now in terms of the defensive plan, this is going to be much shorter because it's simple. Don't allow Kentucky to have the ability to run the ball down our throats, because if we shut that down, then we shut most of Kentucky's offense down. I mean, you look at last week what they did against Florida. It was one guy 280 yards, like we stated. So it's really just shut down the Kentucky running game. Simple as that. And of course, against Vanderbilt, they only had 160, which actually I'm saying only. However, it is 160 yards, but it's against Vanderbilt. They put up 45. And so they had 160 against Vanderbilt, and they had a good rushing game in the game before that, which I believe was against some team Akron. Let me search it. Yeah, it was team name Akron. Of course, their first 3 games they were against. They had a very similar start to their season as we did, playing teams like Ball State. They had Eastern Kentucky. So you can't really take much out of those games. However, against Vanderbilt and Florida, and the 2 SEC games they've played, 160 rushing yards against Vanderbilt, and the one guy had 280 rushing yards against Florida. And of course, in total, Kentucky had 329 rushing yards against Florida last week. So if we want to look at the stats against Auburn put up 219 rushing yards total. So yeah, I was correct. I'm just looking at the official stats here. It was over 200, and I said it was over 200, and it was 219 rushing yards in total. Was the amount of rushing yards put up by the Auburn Tigers, and we can't allow that. If we allowed Auburn to put up 219 rushing yards on us, imagine what we're going to do against Kentucky if we don't improve on that aspect. So the defensive line, Mikael Williams, Smoke Munden, those guys, linebacker, they need to get everyone on the defense. It's not just their job, but those guys need to step up specifically, because I noticed against Auburn they just missed. I mean, they were just getting manhandled when they came to the rushing, and there was no one picking up the QB, et cetera, et cetera. So Georgia needs to get what they've been usually good at doing and stop the run. Don't let them run. Do not let them run. And of course, as a Georgia fan, it's always, you can't run the ball against the University of Georgia. Our defense is too good to allow that, which is usually true. However, after what we saw last week, not so true. So we need to make sure that does not happen. But in terms of our secondary, not much there. I mean, Auburn put up just 88 passing yards in 4 quarters. That's all you really need to know. 88 passing yards. 88 passing yards. Our secondary was good against Auburn. It'll be good against Kentucky as well. Not much in terms of concern. Not much concern in terms of our secondary there. And Kentucky's passing game doesn't look extremely dangerous. So that's pretty much it on secondary. Special teams. Ball security. We can't be ball security on the whole team, but we'll get to that in a second. But ball security for the special teams, we have had the past 2 seasons these random drops and fumbles because of our punt return guy not being able to keep the damn ball, but it's fine. But anyway, the overall team, and this is a big problem, is ball security for the offense as well. The offense specifically, because they had a lot of drop balls and fumbles, etc. The ball security is just needed. Ball security is needed. Ball security is important, and I have no doubt Kirby Smart yelled at them during practice and forced them to perfect it, because that's what's expected at the University of Georgia. We're 2-time national champs. Perfection is expected and perfection is needed. And if you're gonna have perfection, you're gonna have to have perfect ball security. Ball security is a basic in the game of football. But yeah, and then I guess for an overall problem for the whole defense, I kind of stated it. Run game, keep the run game on a low. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my Bulldogs. And I kind of covered a little bit of Kentucky. I mean, their power, their danger is the running game. Their defense, of course, is not isn't the best. I mean, if you look at the amount of points they put up, they let excuse me, they allowed against their 2 SEC opponents, they allowed Vanderbilt to put up 28 points. And of course, we have a much better defense than Vanderbilt, or a much better offense than Vanderbilt does. And against Florida, they only allowed 14. Now, of course, if you look at the numbers and the stats, 244 passing yards by the Florida offense. That's where they got the majority of their yards from in that game, as they only had 69 rushing yards. But this is exactly what you would want to see as a Georgia fan. So Florida was able to put up those kind of numbers. If we go in with a pass first mentality, we're gonna put up more than 244 passing yards. If Florida can do it, Georgia, we can put up way more. So that's pretty much it. The stats support it. The game plan supports it. Everything that we have seen, that we saw last week, supports to that being the correct plan, and it should be put in this week against Kentucky, because they are very good at running the ball. If we shut down the running game for them, then we shut down most of their offense. And if we focus on if we focus on just passing the ball, let Carson Beck throw the ball, and focus on that more than the running game, and just basically bully the heck out of the secondary for Kentucky, then it'll be a blowout. Easy 35-10 type of win. And so as for my official score prediction, I have Georgia at 38. And despite my thoughts on the running game not being a problem, I think Kentucky will still put up good numbers and will still put up some points. So I believe it'll be 38-20. I believe they'll put up the same amount of points as Auburn did. But the Georgia offense will be much better, and they'll put up 38 points. So it'll be 38-20, 38 UGA, 20 to the Kentucky Wildcats. So it'll be a pretty comfortable game in the end. And yeah. Is anybody in the call center yet? Nope. So of course, now we'll go to, until somebody ends up joining the call, we'll go to just other games. I have a list here. So all right, so a few games I want to talk about. First off, LSU versus Missouri. I don't have many in terms of stat lines. I'm not gonna say much about these games. I'll make a separate stream when it comes for the Oklahoma Texas game. So I'll make a separate video on that, actually previewing that game. As well as Notre Dame versus Louisville. I'm gonna make a short something on that one as well. But I want to just quickly cover LSU Missouri. Obviously, LSU will be at Missouri. This is a very interesting game because Missouri is ranked 21 in the country. They are going into this game of 5-0, and the LSU Tigers, they are 3-2. They have had a terrible season so far. So, in terms of the just score prediction for this game, it is very likely, and LSU fans are going to like it. But Missouri, I have Missouri winning this game. Missouri's at home. They're 5-0. I have Missouri winning the game, and I'm gonna say 28-24. It'll be a close game. LSU will make it a close game. Missouri isn't gonna blow out LSU by any means, so it'll be 28-24 in favor of Missouri Tigers. And I'll make a full-fledged video on it later on. But a quick analysis: Alabama at the Texas A&M Aggies. Now I'm an Alabama hater, as you know. However, I'm also a realist, despite me being a Georgia fan. Alabama lost 2 years ago in the stadium against the Aggies. Do they lose to this Saturday? I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say the reason why is because that team 2 years ago for Alabama is not as good as it is now. So that, and of course, I'll make a much more analysis in depth type of video when it comes down to this game between the Crimson Tide and the Texas A&M Aggies. But as of right now, first glance, just first thoughts, and this won't be my final prediction for this game, but I'll definitely, like I said, there will be a more in-depth video on it or live stream, depends on what it is. But it, Texas A&M is probably going to win this game. I think it'll win this. I think they'll win this game. It won't be a blowout. You're not blowing out Alabama, even at home. Don't care who you are, whether it's us or Texas A&M or LSU. The fact of the matter is, it's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be a field goal or a touchdown. It's not going to be 10-point game, anything like that. It won't be higher than 10 points. If so, first feelings are 30. No. First feelings are 30-28. Texas A&M wins on a final field goal. That's what happens. I mean, I've said it, and that's just my first thoughts. I mean, and it's very easy at first glance, just to, without going in depth about their performances and their seasons. I just don't see Alabama escaping this game with the win. And people like Uncle Lou, a lot of people who aren't Alabama fans have chosen Alabama to lose this game. But if Alabama wins the game, no one will be surprised. No one will be surprised. I won't be surprised. You won't be surprised. Nobody will be surprised. So so I guess just to conclude this, because I've been talking too much about this already. My immediate feelings is Texas A&M will walk out of this with the win, and will walk out of this being first in the West. However, I will likely change this prediction. But as for right now, I believe the Texas A&M Aggies will beat Alabama and will come out 5-1. Clemson, and the Crimson Tide will be 4-2, and ending their playoff hopes, almost pretty much just ending them completely. But yeah, that's my score prediction. And let me know in the comments if you disagree. But yeah, if anybody wants to call in now, real quick, go ahead. I'm just gonna keep waiting for it because I believe KB was gonna make a post about it. So guys like Brian Liddell and those guys can come in. I'm not sure if he's still doing it, but that is the verdict. My verdict on those games. Of course, Uncle Lou is live, so he will likely be dragging over most of the viewership. But yeah. But yeah, in terms of overall, yeah, that's all I have to say. If anybody wants to join the call, I'll be here. But yeah, that's all I have to say now. Go Dogs. And I'll be back maybe later tonight. We'll see. All right. I'll still take calls. Don't worry, y'all. I'm in Uncle Lou's show, but it's all good. All right, what's up? I'm back. Damn, nobody's clicked the link yet. Y'all gotta click this link. This show gotta get started. I already talked my piece. Uh, oh my god. All right, y'all. I'm gonna be back later tonight. I hope you enjoyed. Go dogs and roll over dead tide. Nah, I'm kidding. I love the tide. Respect to y'all, bro. Y'all beat us too many times, but it's all good. But yeah, go dogs, man. I'm gonna see y'all later tonight.